Yo, hello, good morning. Shalom, peace. It's 8:42 a.m. on the east side of Babylon, the great city, the land of our captivity. If you're a descendant of the Negroes or the natives of this side of the world, the west side of the world, through slavery, by any means, no matter where you are, that's a good thing, because then you could claim something that has been hidden and stolen and obfuscated for centuries. And that is that you are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are part of the 12 tribes of Israel. It may not be clear which tribe you're from, but if you read chapter 49 of the book of Genesis, that gives you an idea. Also, the 28th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy makes it clear who the children of Israel are in the last days, where the 12 tribes are and who they are, and who is actually in Israel today, who actually is over there. The culprits. Okay, Amalek, Khazarian, Hasmodeans, Herodians, Khazarians, and Edomites. That's all it is that's over there, and Ishmaelites, Arabs. So they trample down the Holy Land, our homeland, our motherland, until the time of the Gentiles. They are the real Gentiles. The Gentiles is fulfilled as Christ has prophesied. He was a prophet. The testimony of Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophecy, by the way. And it's this Christ here, the true image of the Christ: woolly hair, red eyes from wine, white teeth from milk, and skin the color of fine brass, which appears to have been burnt in a furnace. And he and the Father are similar. And he has kept his Father's commandments, and we are to keep his Father's commandments also, in the faith of Jesus Christ's shed blood in the New Testament, the New Covenant, written in his blood. It's a bloody religion, but it's not a religion. It's a set of ordinances, laws, statutes, and commandments written down for us to live by, to abide in, and to communicate to our children in posterity ad infinitum. This is nonstop, y'all. We're going to read some Bible today. How about that? Get excited with me. The Bible is the Word of God. The Bible is the Holy Spirit. The Bible is God's name. The Bible is God's face. The Bible is God's voice. The Bible has 80 books. The Bible is complete. It is finished. You cannot add to it. You cannot take away from it. The 1611 King James Bible is the finished testimony of our God and our people. I admonish you to read it. Don't make excuses. Read it with me here now, and open your Bible in your spare time, or just listen to the Bible being read. If you're busy, put on your headphones. We're going to the 28th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy to begin with. If you've never read the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy or the 49th chapter of the book of Genesis, I would behoove you to do it immediately. Read both of those chapters. It's 2 chapters. It'll take you 15 minutes, if that. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and Genesis chapter 49. The first chapter, I just want to read the first verse of chapter 49 of Genesis real quick, just so you see what I'm talking about. This is the first book of the Bible, and guess what it says? The first book of the Bible talks about the last book of the Bible and the end of times. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which will befall you in the last days. So he calls his sons. How many sons did he have? 12. And what proceeded from those 12? The 12 tribes of Israel. God's chosen. Where will they be in the last days? Read the rest of this. How do we find the 12 tribes? Read the rest of chapter 49 here. You'll see. You'll see. It talks about all 12 tribes here. And then in the last chapter of the book of Revelation, it talks about, or the last 2 chapters of the book of Revelation, it talks about the city of God, which is the kingdom. And it says there are 12 gates on the walls of that city. And on the gates, the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. And those gates are guarded by angels. You're not getting in there if you're not part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Unless you're going into work or to pay taxes. You know what I'm talking about? So, going to chapter 28 of the book of Deuteronomy. And we're going to read the first 15 verses today. Deuteronomy has 34 chapters. And we're in the 28th chapter. We're reading the first 14 verses. And it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken. And it shall come to pass if you will listen diligently unto the voice of the Lord your God. So if we listen, pay attention, and observe, make plans, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. He's talking to the children of Israel. Let's look at chapter 1, verse 1 real quick to see who he's talking to. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. So he's talking to the Israelites, not everybody. This book does not belong to the entire world or to every nation. No. Just the Israelites, period. So we're in chapter 28 of the book of Deuteronomy. It shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. What is the voice of God? The Bible. To observe and to do all his commandments. How many books does it have? 80. That's a completed testimony. 1611 King James Bible was the completed testimony. Immediately thereafter, our people fell into slavery. Okay, and also in 1569, when the Bible of the Bear in Spanish was published, which is a mirror image of the King James Bible in Spanish. The conquistadors took our people from this side of the world, the Europeans, Caucasians, the Edomites, and distributed them throughout the world in different parts, beginning in Spain and Europe, and sold them as slaves, thousands of them, beginning with our dear beloved palsy, Wowsy, Mr. Cologne. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. What does that require? That you know them. So you have to study the Bible to know God's commandments. It's not just 10. And it's not just 2. Okay, there's quite a few. There's like over 600. And some of those, of course, have been nullified and fulfilled or made null by the sacrifice of Christ. There are 5 sets of laws. There's the moral law, which deals with our relationship to God, the civil law, which deals with our relationship to one another, the dietary law, which deals with our relationship to food, the ceremonial law, which deals with our relationship to celebrations and observations and memorials, and lastly, the sacrificial law, which Christ fulfilled and quote unquote did away with. Sacrificing is now our bodies, our living sacrifices, voluntarily committed to God's service, in the service of Christ, in the church. That is the sacrifice that we make today, not animals, in the name of Jesus Christ. That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. That is speaking about rulership, governance, supremacy. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Here are the blessings. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kine, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thy hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, and as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, and walk in his ways. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, and in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the works of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of these of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. What is this saying? We're going to stop there. The 14th verse is very, very pivotal because it's talking about law. Other gods have laws, and those laws are contrary to what these laws tell us to do. So, for example, this law says don't sleep with a man sexually if you're a man. Their law says go ahead. This law says don't kill your children. Their law says go ahead. That's just two blatant examples right there of how their law is totally contrary to our law. Other example, celebrate these memorial days and holy holidays, so to speak. This law says don't celebrate those days. The law of God has we have our own holidays. Okay, we don't celebrate the holidays of the other nations or other religious holidays. We do not celebrate those, contrary to the law that's herein. So we'll come back to this, Lord will. We're going to the book of Matthew, the 4th chapter. All praises, everybody. Hope you're enjoying this. I got a little bit of sweet music chomping around our heels in the background. It's chapter 4. The book of Matthew contains 28 chapters, and we're in chapter 4 this morning, I believe. Let me make sure. Yes, we're in chapter 4 of the book of Matthew. Matthew, the 4th chapter. Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. I believe this is right after he was baptized. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. What is that called when you change one form of matter into another form of matter? Transmutation. That's what the magicians in the Middle Ages were trying to do. They were trying to convert lead into gold. Alchemists. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in thy hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. So the tempter uses the Bible to tempt us to tempt God. He's tempting us to tempt God. We should not tempt God. A fleece is not tempting God. A fleece is just a proof of what God's will might be for you. And occasionally we can use fleece types proofs without tempting God. It's a fine line there. Jesus, number 7, said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and sheweth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them. And said unto him, All these will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. That is what the devil wants: recognition, admiration, worship. And glory, glorification. Then Jesus says unto him, 10, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. Now when Jesus had heard that John was cast into prison, he departed into Galilee. And leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast, in the borders of Zabulon and Naphtali. This means he had money. He traveled. He could relocate pretty much at will. He wasn't a poor man. He was a carpenter's son. He inherited monies from his father, and he was able to travel at will. He wasn't a poor, homeless beggar. that it might be fulfilled, 14, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali by the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. Is this the land of the Gentiles? No, it's talking about the northern kingdom, which was converted to a Gentile state of mind and assimilated. The people which sat in darkness saw great light, and to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up. From that time Jesus began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he says unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets and followed him. And going on from thence, he saw other two brethren, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother. So two brothers and another two brothers, James and John, in a ship with Zebedee their father. The father was there too, mending their nets, and he called them. They immediately left the ship and their father and followed him. So they might have had business dealings with their father, but this took precedence. Okay? Don't let anything sway you from following the way of the Lord. Family, nothing. Don't let the family business or the family religion sway you from following this truth. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. And his fame went throughout all Syria. And they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those that had the palsy, and he healed them. And there followed him a great multitude of people from Galilee, and from Decapolis, and from Jerusalem, and from Judea, and from beyond Jordan. Okay, we're continuing now with the second book of Chronicles. That comes after Kings and before Ezra. And the second book of Chronicles contains 36 chapters. We are in the 25th. Okay. The book of Second Chronicles, chapter 25. Messiah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoiadan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, but not with a perfect heart. Now it came to pass, when the kingdom was established to him, that he slew his servants that had killed the king his father. And he slew not their children, but did as it is written in the law in the book of Moses, where the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not die for the children, neither shall the children die for the fathers, but every man shall die for his own sin. Moreover, Amaziah gathered Judah together and made them captains over thousands and captains over hundreds, according to the houses of their fathers throughout all Judah and Benjamin. And he numbered them from 20 years old and above, and found them 300,000 choice men, able to go forth to war, that could handle spear and shield. He hired also 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver. But there came a man of God to him, saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee, for the Lord is not with Israel, to wit, with all the children of Ephraim. This is the northern kingdom, because of their idolatry. So he's saying, don't follow them. Don't include them in your numbers to the southern kingdom, the Judites and the Benjamites and the Levites, which were there among them. This doesn't mean that all of the northern kingdom were apostate, but for the most part, yes. 8. But if thou wilt go, do it, be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, for God hath power to help and to cast down. And Amaziah said to the man of God, but what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? And the man of God answered, the Lord is able to give thee much more than this. Then Amaziah separated them, to wit, the army that was come to him out of Ephraim, to go home again. Wherefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in great anger. Wow. Even with the money. And Amaziah strengthened himself and led forth his people and went to the valley of Salt and smote of the children of Seir 10,000. The children of Seir, guess who they are? The Edomites. And other 10,000 alive, left alive, did the children of Judah carry away captive. So they killed 10,000, and they took another 10,000 captive and brought them unto the top of the rock. I'm sorry, and cast them down from the rock, the top of the rock, that they all were broken in pieces. So 10,000 were killed by the sword, and 10,000 were killed by being cast off of a cliff. But the soldiers of the army which Amaziah sent back, that they should not go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah from Samaria even unto Beth Horon, and smote 3,000 of them, and took much spoil. Now it came to pass after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the goods of the children of Seir and set them up to be his gods. Ah, shit. And bowed down himself before them and burned incense unto them. Ah, shit. Come on, man. The hell. Therefore the anger of the Lord, of course, was kindled against Amaziah, and he sent unto him a prophet, which said unto him, why hast thou sought after the gods of the people, which could not deliver their own people out of thine hand? And it came to pass, as he talked with him, that the king said unto him, art thou made of the king's counsel? Forbear, why shouldest thou be smitten? Then the prophet forbare and said, I know that God hath determined to destroy thee, because thou hast done this, and hast not hearkened unto my counsel. So he backslid. He stopped following the truth. Then Amaziah, king of Judah, he stopped following God's commandments and started following the commandments of the other nations, like we were talking about earlier. Then King Amaziah, this is verse 17 of chapter 25 of the book of 2 Chronicles. Then Amaziah, king of Judah, took advice and sent to Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come, let us see one another in the face. And Joash, king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, give thy daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon, and trod down the thistle. Thou sayest, lo, thou hast smitten the Edomites, and thine heart lifteth thee up to boast. Abide now at home. Why shouldest thou meddle to thine hurt, that thou shouldest fall, even thou and Judah with thee? But Amaziah would not hear. For it came to pass that he might deliver them into the hand of their enemies, because they sought after the gods of Edom. Wow. The gods of Edom. Think about it. A white, pale, dead man on a piece of wood, a white snake, or a piece of rock in Mecca in the Middle East. These are the gods of the other nations. The god of Edom is put forth to us from their renaissance, their rebirth, this rise back into supremacy after the so-called Dark Ages, where we ruled all of Europe and parts of Asia and Africa for over 1,000 years. But then we fell, the great falling away. Christianity, Renaissance Caucasian Christianity, which I like to call Caucasianity, teaches that the great falling away is apostasy in the last days. That might be partially true, but the great falling away is us falling from supremacy into slavery and oppression, and the bottom of societies everywhere. So, verse 20, but Amaziah would not hear, for it came of God that he might deliver them into the hand of their enemies, because they sought after the gods of Edom. So these gods of Edom are their laws and their ways of thinking, their religion. 21, so Joash, the king of Israel, went up. Another thing that they teach is democracy. There is no democracy in the Bible. 21, so Joash, the king of Israel, went up, and they saw one another in the face, both he and Amaziah, king of Judah, at Beth Shemesh, which belongeth to Judah. And Judah was put to the worse before Israel, and they fled every man to his tent. And Joash the king took Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, at Beth Shemesh, and brought him to Jerusalem, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and the silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of God with Obed Edom, and the treasures of the king's house, the hostages also, and returned to Samaria. And Amaziah the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived after the death of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, 15 years. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah, first and last, behold, are they not written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel? Now, after the time that Amaziah did turn away from following the Lord, they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent to Lachish after him and slew him there. And they brought him upon horses and buried him with his fathers in the city of David. Let's continue. We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 28. Exodus has 40 chapters. We're in the 28th chapter. Exodus is one of the first 5 books of the Bible. It's called the Torah, or the Law, written by Moses. The Genesis is the first, Exodus is the second, Leviticus is the third, Numbers is the fourth, and Deuteronomy is the fifth. Those are the books of the law. Those are the ones we admonish you to concentrate on with regard to learning our God's laws. And take thou unto thee Aaron. This is Exodus chapter 28. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel. This is all related to our people, the Israelites, the Jews, the Negroes and natives of the West, and their descendants, many today are known as Hispanic, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Excuse me. And they shall take gold and and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen. These were bad outfits. I mean, super. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. Our people, even in the smallest things, are the best when it comes to fashion. It shall have the two, everybody wants to follow our lead. That's the way it is. 7, it shall have the two shoulder pieces thereof joined at the top edge thereof. So it shall be joined together. These are like epaulets at the top on the shoulders, and they're joined together around the back and up to the front. This is a bad outfit. And the curious girdle of the ephod, which is upon it, shall be of the same according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. Man, can you imagine the awesomeness of this clothing? Thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and grave on them the names of the children of Israel. 6 of their names on one stone, and on the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, shalt thou engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in couches of gold. So imagine this. This is the most beautiful. It's hard to imagine. I can imagine it. I can imagine this garment. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. This is all about our people, and only about our people from beginning to end. This is about the children of Israel, the 12 tribes, not every nation, before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make couches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends. Of wreath work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreath chain to the couches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with the cunning work after the work of the ephod. Thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. I'm excited at this because of the beauty, the glory of these garments and these ornaments and this jewelry, which is being made for these priests, these Levites, which today are known as Haitians. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set in it settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. The second row shall be emerald, and sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row a ligure, and agate, and an amethyst. The fourth row a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings, and the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel. 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall there be according to the 12 tribes. This is the whole Bible is directed at the Israelites. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreath work of pure gold. This is who Christ came to die for. And he said it out of his own mouth. He came only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's it. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt fasten in the 2 couches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and shalt put them upon the ends of the breastplate in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. And the 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath towards the forepart thereof, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod, which with a lace of blue. That we're talking about like a breastplate. You know what I'm saying? Um, uh, yeah, it's this is Mr. T. You remember Mr. T? He wear all them chains. This is way more than what Mr. T had going down. Girdle of ephod, and that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment. This is the breastplate of judgment, the 12 stones upon his heart, on his chest, when he goeth in unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. This is proof that God has a favorite people. He has favorites. He had a favorite apostle. Christ had a favorite apostle. He had a favorite drink. He had a favorite food. God has favorites. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue. Why is all of this being exacted upon us by our God? Because he is not playing. He's not playing. He's trying to point out how important holiness is, obedience. He's trying to point this out, that he's not playing games. He's not here to play games with you. And there, 32, and there shall be an hole in the top of it, and in the midst thereof it shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, and as it were the whole of an habergeon, that it be not rent. And beneath upon the hem of it thou shalt make pomegranates of blue and of purple and of scarlet round about the hem thereof. Here we go. This is the fringes. It goes round about, not in just 4 parts of the edges of the garment, not just 4 pieces, not just 4 fringes or 4 tassels. Round about thereof, and bells of gold between them round about. A gold bell and a pomegranate, a gold bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, engrave upon it like the engravings of a signet, holiness to the Lord. Holiness to the Lord. Holiness to the Lord. This is the point of all of this. The point that he's trying to make throughout history from Genesis to Revelation, holiness. Thou shalt put it on, what is holiness? Obedience to his laws. And thou shalt put it on a blue lace. There we go. The blue lace, and it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre, it shall be, and it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow, and all their holy gifts, and it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. Man, can you imagine? This is one of the, I can't imagine anything more glorious than these garments that are being described here. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, and bonnets shalt thou make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron and thy brother and his sons with him, and shalt anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. This seems foreign to our indoctrinated way of thinking, our assimilated minds, but we have to keep at it until it's driven in and becomes an integral part of our makeup. This takes time. That's why we have to study every day. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, from the loins even unto the thatches, the thighs they shall reach. Pants were made for men, not for women. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Most High in Christ bless you. Peace. Shalom.